It's time for Bringing the Heat with Trey Lyle.
Welcome back to Bringing the Heat with Trey Lyle, and I am filling in for Trey this week. I'm your host, Caleb Barnes. I'm actually joined by the old host, Bryan Nolen, how the turntables have turned.
I know.
And we're jumping into Bringing the Heat this week with Trey Lyle, but without Trey Lyles. And as we get into it today, we're about to get into the interview that Bryan just did with Donovan Strauss, Cars Tour driver, coming off of the kind of chaotic weekend at Hickory Motor Speedway. So he talks a little bit about that, about his Rookie of the Year fight, and as well as how he kind of got his start coming up through iRacing. Like, we're starting to see more and more people. So let's go ahead and get into the Inferno.
Now it's time for...
He's a driver in the Cars Tour, ran at Hickory this past Saturday on behalf of Hettinger Racing. Donovan Strauss.
To go into the Inferno with Trey.
Right now, folks, at this time, going to bring in the program. He's a driver in the Cars Tour, ran at Hickory this past Saturday on behalf of Hettinger Racing. Donovan Strauss joined the program. What's going on, man? How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
I'm doing well. Obviously, it was a very, very long weekend for the Cars Tour last week. Obviously, you finished in P15. Just what was that like when you're dealing with the rain and then you get it postponed and then having to come back and just waiting and waiting? Basically, you're just twiddling your thumbs, basically. Just what was that like? And then what was your thoughts on the Throwback Classic?
Yeah, it was I've never experienced something like that. Just waiting for 2 straight days, and even Friday when we qualified, we were battling the rain. So I mean, it was 3 days of just battling the rain, and I've never been in a delay that long. I started losing myself on Sunday night. I was losing my mind, but we waited it out, and props to the Cars Tour and Kip and Carson, everybody who plays a part in just trying to get us in on Sunday night, because I knew a lot of people have jobs they got to go to on Monday morning, and they dedicated that whole weekend to being at the racetrack. So I felt like racing Sunday night was the right thing to do. So props to them for getting us in, and it was a long night for us. I mean, we struggled a little bit, but at the end of it, we avoided that big wreck on the front stretch with about 10 to go, and got back on the lead lap, and finished 15th. We just struggled, and that's just kind of been where we've lacked this year, just being a little inconsistent one week to the next. But we're working every week at getting better and trying to stay on the right track. But the Throwback Classic, it was a cool event. Unfortunately, I didn't get to run a throwback because I had Ivy Active on board, and they helped us with that event, and this whole month of August they're on board with us. So it's a really cool deal though to see all those unique paint schemes.
Like, if you did have a chance to run a throwback, was there something in mind that you wanted, or was it just whatever?
Oh yeah, so growing up, I was a huge Kyle Busch fan, so I already had a lot of things circled of what I wanted to do. Throwing back to his, his Xfinity paint schemes that he ran in the early 2010s, and his Cup schemes. I had something I was going to do, but I wasn't really set on anything.
I got you here with Donovan Strauss on behalf of Hettinger Racing. Obviously, this is your rookie season. How do you feel about chances to win the Rookie of the Year?
Yeah, we've been leading it for most of this year, up until the last 2 races. Doug Barnes has overtaken me for it. He's got about, I think, 10 points on me right now. But we just gotta just keep building consistent finishes and stay in the top 7-8 range every single race to really start building that gap. And even, I think, I wouldn't rule myself out at fighting for the championship over these next 5 races. I mean, we're only 50-something back, so I feel like I'm confident about our chances at Rookie of the Year at least. We just got to keep pouncing these next 5 races and build on what we know we can do.
Now, obviously, you also race in the eNASCAR racing season. Just how'd you get started in that? And then what's that been like?
Yeah, I started sim racing back in 2019, and I never had the vision of going competitive with it. Actually, I was on all the time, and I got really good at it. And I made a run at it in 2020 and 2021, and I made it into the World Championship Series, and I've been in it since 2022 now. So I'm on my 4th year, and I've been with the same team with Williams Esports, and they've been awesome people and awesome to represent over the last 4 years of doing that. So it's I never really had the plan to actually go competitive with it. I was just doing it because I enjoyed it, and I just got really good, and I tried for it, and I made it.
How much? I mean, we obviously we all know the story of William Byron and everything, and him with the simulator and everything. How much can you learn? Just how much can you learn and take that when you're racing in the car store? Even though it is different, obviously it is a simulator compared to the real thing. Just how much can you learn based on what you gather when you are playing it?
Yeah, it's iRacing always. I've always said to people it always helped me teach myself racecraft stuff and just the fundamentals of that and how to really race people. And then Corey Heim actually said something like this a couple months ago. I think it was him, but it really just teaches you the fundamentals of things and just the racecraft stuff. Like obviously driving stuff, it's gonna in the forces and everything you feel in real life, it's gonna be different. And just the tire and the actual feel you're gonna get, it's a little bit different. But the fundamentals and just the racecraft stuff, it's relatively, I'd say, pretty close to what you would be doing in real life. So I give iRacing big props for teaching me that stuff.
Now, obviously, you want to move up the ladder and everything. We see guys like, I mean, for example, like Caden Honeycutt. He run in the cars tour. I mean, even a guy like Dale Jr. Just how beneficial is that when you guys are racing some of the guys that we see on a weekend basis, and just how much does that improve your racecraft week in week out?
Yeah, so I've actually been teammates with Caden 2 or 3 times this year in our Hettinger racing group, and at the tracks he's been at, it's really benefited me a lot, just having him around and knowing he's already been to all these racetracks, and I can lean on him a lot for that. It really helped me earlier this year at Orange County when we went there. He really got me up to pace when I needed it, and I ended up racing really good that race. So it's just an experience thing, and that comes with time. And I know eventually, down the road, I can be that guy. So it just comes with time and experience.
Last but not least, for you here, Donovan Strauss joining the program on behalf of Hettinger Race, and obviously, like you mentioned with Caden, he does race other series. What's the ultimate goal for you? Do you want to get into the NASCAR ladder in the trucks or even in ARCA and move your way up, or just what does the future hold 2, 3, 4 years down the road for Donovan?
Yeah, my goal obviously is to move up that ladder and get into the truck series and potentially even the Xfinity series and see where that takes me. But right now I'm just I gotta stay the course and just continue to develop what I'm doing. And I feel like every time, like if I come back next year and I committed to doing this car store deal full time again, I know that's honestly taking a step forward because I feel like if I could come back next year, I could do it 100 times better than I am even this year. So, um, yeah, obviously my goal is to move up, but I know it takes time and development and just the right opportunity. So honestly, I'm just any opportunity that comes my way, I consider it, and we'll just keep doing that over the next couple of years and see where we end up.
Last but not least, where can people find you on social media, and where can we follow you?
Yeah, I'm on all socials at Donovan Strauss. I basically post all my updates on there on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I'm all on there, and I'm on TikTok too. So
Oh, okay.
make sure you go follow me.
See, my wife is on TikTok and she does all this stuff. Like, how do you like? Do you like actually post the videos or like do you just like watch them? Because like I have like no ounce of like inspiration, not inspiration, or like creativity to like figure out like how to do the videos. Like, what like do you do videos or like just what is all that for you?
I mean I post more picture stuff,
Okay, fair.
but you can do videos.
I got you. All right. Well, I thought I would end it on a good note, but hey, I appreciate the time, Donovan. Thank you so much, and I wish you the best. And maybe we'll have you on again next year, my man.
Yep. Thank you guys.
Awesome. Donovan Strauss on behalf of Head into Racing, bringing the heat with Trey Lyle. Let's head it back over to Trey here in the studio.
Well, thank you so much for that interview, Brian. My name is not Trey Lyle, but hey, had some last second shakeups there. So it's time to get into what's still hot, though, and some of the biggest topics that we've seen so far this week.
What's still hot? It's time to upgrade you on the latest news in NASCAR.
And some of the hottest topics this week, there's one pretty hot topic that we kind of didn't see coming out of the truck series that dropped earlier this week. And it was news that Caden Honeycutt, who is in contention for the playoffs, and he's been arguably the best driver for Nice Motorsports this year, it was announced on Monday that they're splitting ways, that I guess Nice found out that Caden will be driving for another team next year. And so he will no longer be driving for Nice. And so let's talk through that and the different facets of that. But just starting out, Brian, like, how surprised were you when you saw this news come out on Monday?
Yeah, first off, Caleb, thanks for having me on, bud. I was very surprised. It sounds like this was like a Chevrolet decision, just based on the statement that was released from Nice Motorsports. And it was something along the lines of based on our manufacturer, OEM support, or something along those lines. But it is disappointing. Obviously, he would have been in the playoffs with Nice, and but it looks like it'll be Bailey Curry. They'll be taking over that ride, and hopefully for them, they get in the owner's points. But unfortunately for Stuart Friesen, it looks like he'll not be able to come back this season off of the hellacious injuries that he suffered a couple weeks ago. Thankfully, he's just still alive. So it looks like it'll be the Mr. Honeycutt is going to take over that ride starting in Richmond. He'll be driving Tyler Young's car at Watkins Glen, just so he will still be eligible for the playoffs, and then he's going to take over Stewie's ride the rest of the year to try and potentially get a playoff championship, because I mean he's still in the playoffs as of this taping on Thursday, or excuse me, Wednesday afternoon. Comes out Thursday, but as of Wednesday afternoon he's still in the playoffs, and so he needs to run every race to be eligible. So hopefully he will hopefully he just will not suffer through this weekend, but he just survived this weekend, and then get to go in a really, really good truck with Friesen that's already won this season.
Yeah, that's right. And Brian, it's okay. Tomorrow they're not running a race tonight, so he'll still be in the playoffs tomorrow too.
Okay.
On Thursday. If you are listening to now, if you're listening to this after Friday evening, whenever the trucks race,
there you go.
No, might not be the case anymore. But just had to mess with you there. Yeah, it was pretty surprising to see that happen. Just again because of his position, and even like you think back to Tyler Reddick in the year whenever he announced that he was leaving RCR, and they were really kind of upset about that, but they still went out. Because that was announced pretty early in the season, but then Tyler still went out and competed and won at least one, if not more, races with the team that year before leaving. And I mean, Nice hasn't been, I don't think they've been quite where they were with like Ross Chastain and Carson Hocevar. Caden and Bailey Curry have had some really good races and have had some flashes and moments of brilliance. They're not quite consistently competing for wins, though, on a weekly basis, or I guess a race by race basis, because there's nothing weekly about the truck series right now. But that was pretty surprising. And then I'm glad you mentioned as well, Caden is driving with the O2 team this weekend at Watkins Glen, because Stuart Friesen, they already announced Christopher Bell would be in that truck. But so the O2, that's a Chevy, right?
I want to say, yeah, it is.
Yeah, which I mean, I guess they probably don't have as much OEM support as a team like Nice. Yeah, but I do find it interesting that he's going to the 52, which is a Toyota. I think, I guess the sort of unconfirmed rumor is that Tricon is the team, because I don't know if you saw whenever the announcement came out, did you see their tweet, Tricon Garage, with pointing at himself? Yeah. Yep. So like admin maybe kind of gave away a little bit of the reason why Caden's going to a different OEM in a really funny way. But it'll be interesting to see what he can do in that 52, and how he kind of takes up that space. And it's good for it's kind of a win for both because the 52 is already locked into the playoffs with that win on like the owner's side of things, and I will be curious to see how he does, and depending on how Stewart's recovery process goes as we get deep into the fall, if Caden finishes out the season. Have they said if he's finishing out the season yet, or is it kind of like a until?
I think they did say yes, he will be finishing it up.
Okay, all right. Well, there we go. All right, and then our other topic for what's still hot this week, also from another one of the lower series, is Austin Hill returning, and I guess the big side of that, we knew it was one race suspension. We knew he'd be returning, and he did get the playoff waiver. I guess, were you expecting this? And right now, like, does it feel the same as past suspensions, or is this one already starting to feel a little bit different because of some of the implications and the new rules in place?
I think it feels the same. It's just he doesn't have the 21 playoff points. He was going to have the third most playoff points out of all the Xfinity drivers behind Connor Zilic and Justin Allgaier. So he's going to enter with 2,000 points, and then you're going to have a guy like Connor Zilic have like 2,040, almost like a full race or something among it. Probably like 20, 30 or 20, 25, something like that. But still, he's going to have a bunch of, he's got to have a deficit to make up. And then you got Bristol in the first round. I think the Robles in the first round, maybe Kansas as well. So then he's going to have three great races to try and advance. And then he's got Talladega in that next round that he can certainly win to go on to Phoenix. So it is going to be difficult for him, but we're just going to have to wait. And, but I think this was all just, we all kind of expected this.
Yeah. I'm really curious to see, like, in the playoffs, how it truly does affect, because that's what we can't predict right now. Austin could go out and win the first race of each round, and
Yeah.
it's a moot point. But I mean, if he goes and if he finds himself in a must-win position in any of the rounds, especially if it's or if he's just anywhere within that 15 to 20 point range, you're going to be obviously saying, like, man, those 20 points, those 21 points would be huge right now, and I'll be really curious to see that. And then if this does act as more of a deterrent against some of these aggressive intentionally, right? Because we see guys intentionally kind of spin each other out from time to time. We'll get to this in a minute. We almost saw Zane Smith do it on Carson Hocevar, and I have a question tied to that when we get there. But I mean, those right rear hooks, especially at high speed racetracks at a 90-degree corner at Indianapolis, like, those have got to stop. So I will be curious to see what kind of goes on with that. And Brian, one more topic to kind of throw in real quick on a last second note that we didn't necessarily have this one planned, but did see another tweet come through about on Sirius XM NASCARs from Joe Shrigley on X. Elton Sawyer thinks a power increase is the right move, but won't happen until 2026 at the earliest. And the current challenge is just trying to decide which tracks would get the increase. I also saw Steven Toronto, our Fred Stretch, he works with us a little bit in CBS Sports as well. He asked Ryan Preece about this potential horsepower increase and said that he hopes that there will be a test session so the drivers can, quote, overshoot it on horsepower and then dial it back from there. Just with all these horsepower talks, and we saw, again, more frustrations after Iowa. Everything to this point, it's kind of the same with, like, the OEM. Like, we keep having these, oh, well, we can try for some more horsepower in the future. We can try for this in the future. But at what point do you think we will actually see horsepower increases? And should they start small with a small sample size, or do we just need to make this the status quo for all racetracks?
Caleb, I'm gonna go Colin Coward all on you with the comparison. This being like we're gonna get more horsepower is like a girl trying to tell a guy she's not interested but continues to lead him on. Yeah, sure, we can hang out next week. Next week comes, oh no, sorry, I'm busy. But what about next week? Then next week, oh no, sorry, I have to study. But how about in 2 weeks? 2 weeks comes. It's kind of like that. We always say, oh yeah, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen later in the season. It's gonna happen later in the season. Oh, now it's gonna happen next year. Next year's gonna come. Oh, it'll be in the middle of the season. Middle of the season's gonna come. It's gonna be later. It's just gonna be. We're just kicking the can down the curb. And so I'll believe it when I see it. I think Ryan Preece has got a fantastic idea of bumping the horsepower up in a test session and then dialing it down, because it's way better than only going to a little bit and then dialing it down and it's just diluting the product. So I feel like I'll believe it when I see it, but Priest's idea is really, really spot on.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know what else to add. You put it perfectly with that analogy, so I'm just going
Thank
to
you.
leave it at that because
I
that
appreciate
was
that.
great.
Thank
It's
you.
time to get to our soundbite of the week, which I mentioned Carson Hocevar. This does come from the interview with Carson Hocevar. You might have seen the front part that our own Steven Stumpf got when there's a bit of confrontation. This interview section comes from right after that conversation. So let's get to the soundbite of the week.
Well, Tony, what angered you at the end of the race? What did you take issue with?
What the hell do you think I was mad about? Dumb little runs us clear down to the infield. He wants to about everybody else, and he's the one that drives like a little. I'm gonna bust his ass.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you.
And short track racing.
It's time for the sound bites of the week.
And lastly, there was the incident with the 38 with Zane. What was your point of view from there?
I just got loose and was wrecking myself, and then he was right there. So I got cleaned out. I just think everybody cleans. It's just a product of just trying on restarts and then hitting the stops and getting loose. I was gonna spin myself, but he took a swing at me that nobody saw. Turned dead right and tried to wreck me at one point. So wants to be Billy Badass. Go ahead.
Thank you.
So 2 questions coming off of that interview for you, Bryan Nolen. The first one is we see Carson make a lot of mistakes, but he talks about, I just got loose. Like, do you think mistakes are a part of racing, but does Carson need to feel more, I guess, or hold more accountability for these mistakes that he's making? Because they're mistakes, but they're happening a lot. Or is this just part of being a young driver?
This kind of reminds me of what Jeff Dickerson said on DBC about a month or so back. He's like, it's fine if you want to race hard and wreck people, but don't cry and get out of the car all mad and frustrated when someone wrecks you back. And I mean, we haven't seen it yet. And when someone does wreck him back, because it's going to happen, what goes around comes around. So I do think it will happen sooner rather than later for him. But I do think this is a little bit of growing pains. I mean, the guy's only 20 something years old. So, I feel like if he will get better, and if he doesn't get better, he's just gonna be out of jobs. So I'll say more about this in my final thoughts, but that's just a little bit of a summary of my thoughts.
Yeah, and it's such a tough line too, because I mean Carson finished in the top 10, and that's what make his aggression is what makes him a good race car driver. It's what puts him up there, and he's had some horrible luck this season. He's ran great pretty much all year, you could argue, at just about every type of racetrack, and then just sometimes it's been something of his own doing, but it feels like more often than not, it's been a mechanical issue or just a slow stop or something else. And so part of me wonders if some of that aggression is frustration that he feels like he has to make up extra for, if he already had 5 top 10s so far this season, part of me wonders maybe he's not that aggressive going for a spot like that because he already knows hey, we've had the results, we've had the finishes this year, but he hasn't had those results to back up how well they've been running in the race. But then also it is another, on the other hand, you're like, man, you keep making mistakes, but at the same time, eventually you got to stop making, you got to either decide not to get so close to the line, or you got to kind of start expecting retribution. And I know he kind of made comments about Zane Smith there at the end. That was the second thing I was going to ask is, what sort of a look, or how did you feel whenever you saw that replay of Zane sort of trying to take out the 77?
Oh God, what a moron! Guy's so dumb. Listen, if you wanna wreck someone, do it. Don't try and miss. That's so embarrassing that you literally are so just idiot. That was such an idiotic move. If you're gonna wreck someone, that's totally fine. Go for it, but try and actually wreck him.
I think it was one of those things, and where he's trying to play it off like it wasn't going to be as intentional as it was, because I mean it did, you see cars do that at times. That's how Kyle Busch wrecked in practice, is going into the corner and then gets loose and just goes up the racetrack and you can't catch it fast enough. I think that's what he was trying to do. I think he slowed down too, he was trying to slow down enough to actually make the corner. And I say that with quotation marks. So that way he could miss, versus if he just goes in and blows through the corner and wrecks Carson, that's a lot more obvious. And there you do risk some more repercussions depending on what level NASCAR kind of rules that at. But yeah, I mean, Carson is Carson. And like I said, we got to get to our final thoughts, but we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But speaking of final thoughts, let's get into that right now.
It's going to be a drag race all the way back to the start-finish line. No caution. They're side by side, right to the line. Big crash. Here they come. Checkered flag.
The checkered flag is out, and it's time for the final thoughts.
Welcome to Final Thoughts, and I mean, let's jump right into it. Bryan Nolen, what's eating at your brain? What's something that you really want to discuss about your final thoughts today?
I was thinking about this, and in any profession, you're going to have like the people that have been there for 20, 25, 30 years or even longer that are going to look down on the brand new rookies or in whatever, whether it's journalism, whether it's racing, whether it's in literally grocery store workers, whatever. They're going to look down and they're going to get mad, or they're going to snicker, or they're going to tear you down, and because they're intimidated by you. And for Carson Hocevar, I really don't think the drivers are intimidated by him, but I do feel like that he's gaining a fan base and people are starting to recognize that. I mean, obviously, I don't feel like Ryan Blaney thinks that at all, but I do feel like that Hocevar is building a name and building a reputation, that he is willing to do what he does and do whatever it takes to get a good finish. Now, obviously, has he won that? No. But the thing is, he should not change. Whether or not people like it, I don't think he cares. I don't think I definitely know I don't care, because he's literally helping NASCAR get to that next step. We all have these bland, lame, just superstars, quote unquote, that are just says the most generic BS, and they don't really say how it is. Even when they get wrecked, they're like, yeah, I just got loose and then someone came up onto me. No, like Hocevar will tell it how it is. And you got guys like him and Noah Gragson, that have personality and everything. So for Carson Hocevar, do not change. Sure, if you get wrecked, don't complain and don't be a baby about it. But the thing is, he is moving the needle in ways that we need NASCAR to move the needle. And for him, I hope he doesn't change at all.
All right. Well, there you have Brian's final thoughts on Carson Hocevar. And again, I think those are some great takes on Carson. He does bring some interesting personality and spices up things a little bit. I think we saw it happen after Ross Chastain really got chewed out a couple years ago. It feels like the old Ross disappeared. And I'll leave that. I don't want to hijack your final thoughts. My final thoughts, I'm saving these final thoughts, just like we saw some guys trying to save fuel on Sunday, and fuel savings were a pretty hot topic afterwards, because we've had 3 of these fuel mileage races in recent weeks where the leader was hyped up to run out of gas, and then they ended up not running out of gas, and they ended up holding on to the lead and wound up winning the race. And I just wanted to say, like, I know people are upset because I guess they feel like they're being lied to by the broadcast. And yes, it is the broadcast job to make this exciting, but I do truly think that it's just a matter of circumstance. I think if you line up these same circumstances with different drivers, I think you would have different scenarios play out. And I just think it was kind of a luck of the draw that you had Chase Briscoe trying to save fuel with Denny Hamlin behind him, and Chase saved enough. Then you had Bubba Wallace trying to save enough fuel, and he did the job. And then William Byron at Iowa, because I mean, use William Byron as an example. He has run out of gas 2 other times this season. Byron ran out of gas at Michigan. I know a lot of people don't really remember that because he had already been passed for the lead, so it wasn't necessarily the leader running out of gas. But then last week at Indianapolis, Byron again ran out at 3rd. And in both of those situations, if he was in the lead, then he would have ran out of gas while leading. And this fuel mileage conversation might look a little bit different because the races would have played out a little bit differently. Now, that's my thoughts on the fuel mileage racing. I do enjoy the strategy side of it, especially because it feels like the last couple years, like every single fuel mileage race gets ruined by some late caution, and that just we'll be setting up a great fuel mileage finish, and then someone will wreck, and throws all that out the window and turns into chaotic overtime who can survive the crashes. So I'd rather have a fuel mileage finish than chaotic overtime, a billion people crash, and somebody in 15th place wins the race. But that's just me. Now, a whole nother conversation that I won't get into, but I'm trying to formulate my opinions on for maybe an article or something. I don't know what I'll do with it. It does really hurt to see a guy saving fuel and also pulling away from some of the other fastest cars in the field. But that's a different conversation for another time, and it's a conversation that a lot of people are also having this week. But I guess that's all of my thoughts that I had. Bryan Nolen, thank you so much for joining us. And I guess where can people keep up with you? What will you be working on the rest of this week?
Yeah, I'm going to be heading out to Portland on Saturday for the NTT IndyCar Series. We'll see if Alex Palou can win his third consecutive championship, second championship in Portland, and I think it's fourth overall in NTT IndyCar history. So he's just 2 away from tying Scott Dixon, or 3 away now. But we'll see what happens. Pato O'Ward still has a chance, and his name has been mentioned in the news. Unfortunately, for social media things not related to his doing, unfortunately. So it's been a little bit of a tricky situation there. But yeah, it's going to be fun. Pacific Northwest. It's supposed to be actually really, really hot in Portland, like a high like 93 come race day. So it could be slipping and sliding in Portland. So hopefully it'll be a good race. And then you can follow me on Twitter at the Bryan Nolen, and then FS Open Wheel. It should be a fun weekend in Portland.
Yeah, IndyCar had that news with Fox buying a lot of third of it. That was something else that happened this week. Well, thanks so much for joining us, Bryan. For me, I'm Caleb Barnes. You can follow me at Caleb Barnes _. I will be hosting Stock Car Scoop a little bit later this weekend, following the race at Watkins Glen on the NASCAR side of things, and you can catch me there. But as for us, thank you so much for listening to Bringing the Heat. Next up on the Front Stretch Podcast Network, you can catch Wyatt Watson with what is it? Through the Gears?
Through the Gears.
Through the Gears. Okay. All right.
You're good.
I'll say that again. That'll do it for us here on Bringing the Heat. Up next on the Front Stretch Podcast Network, you can catch Wyatt Watson on Through the Gears. There you go. Oh, I found the checkered flags. It was checkered flags, not end of the podcast. Oh, well.
No, that's fine. Oh, right. Well, Trey can do it. Trey can fix it.
Trey can fix it.
Hey,
all right.
Man. All right, buddy.
Thanks, Bryan.
Good job. I'll talk with you later, buddy.
See ya.
See you, bro.